Hey Rhonda, it's Katelyn. Thanks for the images. I like that you sent over some wedding shots because you know I like weddings. And so I am just going to roll through these. I know that you are prepping for Christmas and we are too. And so, but let's start with a bouquet shot. And yes, I do think you're right. It is a little tilted. But you know you could fix that. I have to do it a lot sometimes. So you just need to take a center line, like the line of her dress, and make it straight with this. And that's how you can tell if it's straight or not. And then you can try to center the flowers. But obviously we need to get your watermark, your frame out of the image. So let's go to that. To me, that looks like more of a straight image. And here's something to think about. So I know you said you're using some actions, and I have found that I get crisper, more well-edited images without actions, and this is why. So Magic, the glasses action from TRA, so it seems like it's straightening, but what it's doing is taking all the edges of the pictures and it's really intensifying that. All the edges, sorry, of the pixels of the subject and intensifying it. So instead of having a soft, um, you know, this is obviously in focus. And so I just don't think you need that action because it kind of makes it look harsher. It takes the edges of all of these different things and makes them bolder in hopes to make it look clearer. And I don't think you need that. I think you lose a lot of the crispness of the detail of the flowers when you make them so dark and heavy. So I'm just going to show you how I would edit this. I know this isn't raw, so I can't really show you all the capabilities of what you could do with a raw image, but I'm just going to try to edit it as a JPEG and see. Let me get this down. I'm just going to crop it a little bit better. Okay. I could even scooch it over just a little. All right. So you're right. It's very green. So let's take some of the green out. Let's make it a little bit more accurate to the color. I would brighten it quite a bit and brighten the fill light. I don't think that's too bright at all because we're going to darken the shadows just a tad and bump up this. And so might even, okay, so let me compare this to this. So do you see how this looks gray and it looks kind of heavy, and her skin looks gray? That comes from some of those actions. And I think you want something that's a little bit brighter with a little bit more pop of color. And whenever you use those sharpening actions, they just kind of, they take the life out of some of your details. So that's something to watch. And I hope that was helpful. So let's move on to this one. I actually think, and maybe I'm strange, but I actually think the color is better in your straight out of camera image than this one. Oh no, this is straight out of camera. Okay, good. I was like, oh no, wait, I can't tell. Is it straight? Okay, so this is straight out of camera, and this is the one you edited. I'm thinking. Ooh, I can't tell. I can't tell. Okay, so let me pull up your thing and see exactly what you said. So, okay. So it looks okay. So it looks like this is your your retouched one, the blue one. It looks a little bit bluer. I actually think the white balance looks better in this one because she looks warmer and she looks more realistic. And maybe that's just me. Now, if I was editing this, I wouldn't do much because I think this is a beautiful, beautiful image. I really, really do. And so, gosh, I think this is beautiful. I wouldn't do much to it at all. When you come to this, it starts to look a little. Let's compare these side by side. Now, when I look at this, I think there's more life in this. This feels more welcoming and warm, and this looks just kind of cold and muted. Everything looks muted. Her lips, her skin, her hair, everything just has the color washed out of it a bit. So if I were you, I mean, I think this is a better coloring, to be honest. So that's what I think about that one. I hope you understand what I'm saying. I just see more life in this image because of the warmth. So let me look at this one. So same thing here. So I obviously this is unedited. This is edited. Here's some things that I would try to do. If I was editing this shot, and I'm just going to edit your logo out of it, not because I don't love your watermark, but just because it makes me easy. It's easier to focus this way. Let me get it off the top. I'm very picky. So if I was editing this, I would bump up a little bit of the fill light, a little bit of the exposure, just a little. I would also warm it up a tad. And now this is editing for my style, and so you know, if you don't like this, that's okay. You don't have to. We're just changing the highlight color just a little bit. All right, so let's compare the two. So here we just have it's all about color, really. And to be honest, this one, I could make it pop a little bit more, and obviously you use some actions here, some sharpening, but I really would pay attention to the white balance, because when you look at them and their skin and her dress, and even just the white parts of the dog, there's a lot of blue tint to it, and whenever you have an image with white balance that's not warm, it automatically takes some of the life out of the image, and so that's something to think about. And, you know, obviously if you had more control over the image and you could shoot it straighter with them in the background, that would be ideal, but I understand dogs don't really let you shoot that way. So it's a really cute shot. I love that. So let's look at this image. I hope you don't mind me saying this, but I think I like your straight out of camera image better than this one. Because let me show you when you compare them side by side. When I look at these side by side, this looks more natural. This looks very green and very blue. And so, and to be honest, I like the composition of this one better even before you cropped it. So sometimes less is more, and I really think that rings true with this. So if I was editing this image right here, and again, forgive me for getting rid of the border. It just helps me to be able to see better. Let's see. I'm going to have to. There we go. Okay, so if I was editing this, it is a little bit cool, so I'd warm it up just a tad. I'd bump up the mid-tones so there's a little bit more light in the shadows, and I'd darken the shadows and lighten the darks, okay, and a little bit of color. Okay, so what we have here is just a light edit, and it looks much more realistic. This looks very, very green, and I know that sometimes when you edit, you don't realize that's happening until you look at it later. But so that's something to be aware of, and to really, I would say, focus on the faces, focus on the skin tone. You can also, you know, compare it to the original side by side and think, okay, why is this not right? There's something about this that's not right. I can't put my finger on it, but something's not right. I would start looking at the tone, the color, the overall feel of the image. If it doesn't feel lively enough, then maybe it's not warm enough. Or if it doesn't feel like the color's popping enough, instead of upping saturation or vibrance, try adjusting other things. Like, so for me, I liked a lot of color comes in when you do the contrast bump a little bit, but you got to make sure you do it in a way that doesn't make it look unnatural. So I hope this helps. And now let's say, I know you mentioned you wanted this to pop more. Say this image, let me get out of here. Say this image still didn't pop enough. Instead of messing with the temperature, I think the temperature's fine, so that's not our issue. The temperature stays the same. Let's adjust the curves. So we could bump up the exposure a little bit and adjust for the highlights. We'll make it a little bit more contrasty, just a little bit, okay? And so that's a little bit more of a pop. But you notice we didn't change anything up here, and we didn't touch the saturation, not at all, because that just kind of distorts color. So let's look at this again. Come on, there we go. I hope you can, on your screen, can see the difference. To me, this, from my calibration of my computer, this looks warm and natural, and this looks very green. So the good news is you don't really have to do as much editing as you have been, because this is very minimal editing, and I think it's still beautiful. So I hope you have a great Christmas, and I hope you have an amazing New Year, and I can't wait to see your images next week. Bye.